join me for the pledge? Prior to the pledge, this meeting is being recorded, and I've just been told I have to push a red button in whenever I talk. It's not going to go well. I'm going to do my best. Okay. Where's the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, very good. Okay, welcome everybody. Everybody can hear me, right? Okay. All right, Robert, additions, deletions, changes to the agenda, please.
Yes, we have an addition tonight. We approved a computer service assistant under personnel. That's the only addition.
That's it?
That is it.
Okay. Consent agenda. Please, motion for minutes from March 22nd of 2022. General fund warrant number 46. Budget transfers. Property tax report card 2021-2022. CSE recommendations. Motion, please.
I can make it.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to correspondence, Robert.
Yes, so in your board packets, you have our high school honor roll percentages, outstanding performance from our 9th and 12th grade students. Nearly 304 students either earned the honor roll, high honor roll, so 73%, which is roughly 6% better than where we were last school year. And also, last week, just a beautiful play for Charlie Brown, so we had an opportunity to watch that outstanding performance by our students and cast and crew. Really enjoyable play. Well done. That's it for communications.
All right. No guess of the board. Okay, the next part of the meeting is the public forum. Please bear with me for 1 second, please. Welcome to the Keller and Mumford Central School Board of Education meeting. Public forum is next on the agenda. This portion of the agenda is for in-person residents of the district to speak to the board. However, the board members will not respond. This is a time for the board to listen, and when appropriate, a response will be provided to the speaker. Individuals who wish to speak must sign in, state their name and address prior to speaking, and limit their comments to 3 minutes. Comments or questions naming specific personnel or students are to be addressed privately to protect the rights of the individuals. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Obscene language, libelous statements, threats of violence, statements advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice will not be tolerated. Thank you.
Rick McKay?
Yes.
You wanted to speak?
Michael Speaker is very good. My name is Rick McKay. I live at 2767 Lagoon, and I'm not really good at this. I'm not a real speaker, but I think I have a little bit invested in the school. I graduated here. I've been in I was in the community, left, came back, and there's a national thing going on with the schools, and I would like to think it's not going on here, but I got to think at least some of it is. If not, it's going to be. And the perception is from the outside that the board is not being transparent enough. I got involved in this because I didn't want to see the mascot go away. First it was taking the scalp and the head. I didn't have a problem with that. But this is a perception that the board spent over $200,000 getting rid of the mascot. I don't know if that's true. And what I have here is mostly hearsay. But it's a concern mainly because we live in a liberal state. We're not in a perceived liberal county, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the schools that are really upsetting a lot of people. Now, some of the concerns that parents have at some of the school board meetings, there is a fight almost. The board doesn't want to change, the parents want them to change, and then consequently you have a serious problem. I didn't want to see the mascot go because it's been there for over 100 years. And I hate to think that if a few people can make a change like this, then if we get a new mascot, what's to say that 2 years later, they're not going to want to change that? So, I have been told that there's a transgender club in the school. And a heterosexual club is not allowed. Now, I'm sure this is coming down from the state, but anything considered sexualizing, and this is hypersexualizing kids, if you want to know the truth. And if this is going on, then I think the parents need to be aware of it. Now, if I had kids in the school, and I don't, I have nieces, but if this were, and I don't know if this is going on, I have a concern. I wouldn't say anything to anybody on the outside unless I knew it was going on. But it is happening in other schools. That's a fact.
Mr. McKay, can you get closer to the
Oh, yeah,
towards
sure.
the end, please?
But if it were happening in this school, and I had kids here, I'd have to pull them up from part but bottom line. And it's a CRT which really causes racial diversity. And this is being taught in the schools. I don't know if it's in this one, but there is a concern about that. Parents don't want their kids to be raised to think they're different.
Okay.
Think they're either not as good or that they got to pay this other group back for the rest of their lives.
Mr. Malasani will get you to, I need a point, will get you your answers.
Well, this is a concern. This is good. But like I said before, this is a national issue. This is not a local issue. And kids are my main folks. I was so happy that the mask disappeared. That was great. Because the mask don't allow the kids to, they go on facial expressions. And,
We have to move on, Mr. McKay.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but
okay, thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Mr. McKay, if we're not able to get to certain topics that you want to discuss, you're more than welcome to write a letter, and the board will get that information.
Sure,
Okay?
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Diane Polk?
Hi, I'm Diane Holt. Just recently, belong to the Caledonia community as opposed to Mumford community because I just actually forgot to leave my house. So, not changing anything that has always been there, just moving from Mumford to are not born racist. Children are not born sexualized. As adults, we teach the child. And when, they always said, never give a child more information than what they're really ready for, because all it does is confuse them. And between the moral issues, the emotional issues, anyone who has children, you know that your child doesn't understand a lot of what goes on. They repeat what they hear. Somebody asked my grandson when they were discussing some of the issues, and they said, well, do you know what gay is? And he goes, yeah, it means you're happy. Because that's what children see. They don't see the other. They don't have the emotional or mental capability as an adult does. You are a child, such a small part of your life. But taking away and robbing their childhood to put forth political, religious, whatever they are, agendas, you destroy a whole bunch of lives in the process of doing it. Because nobody knows 20 years from now what the consequences are going to be of the choices they made today. So, as an advocate for the child, my goal is to protect the child in any way possible. And that means if you gotta stand up and speak for them because they're not ready to speak for themselves, that's what you do on that. You don't sit on the sidelines and you don't talk about it at home or behind somebody's back. You write forward. I don't know most of you personally in the same way you don't know me, and you probably don't know most of the people who are here. But we're judged by the choices that we make. It's not really fair to do that. Because that's what you're trying to prevent people from judging from what color your skin is or what this. Teaching children hate is the worst thing in the world to do on that. And what we're asking you is to make sure that above all else, no matter what adult men, how loud they are, how much they scream, what political parties, doesn't matter. Your job as educators are to educate them so that they can go on to life. I've lived in other countries, I've lived in other states, I've lived in a state that had the worst school district imaginable. And I've also had my own stuff in one of the best school districts. That's what got me through the worst one. Those are the things you have to look at.
Wrap it up.
Okay, that's what we're saying. Protect the child, do the child's best interest.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, the elementary, middle, high school compact committee update, please.
Mr. Bolter and board members, go ahead.
I'll just give you an update of where we were with the contact committee. Basically, the last time we presented till now, one of the main things we've been planning is the parents as reading partners. That we had to change during COVID, now we're kind of getting back to some normal, so we don't have a big festival. This year's theme is reading is a treasure. And we just kicked it off with our kids. This past week, we've been encouraging kids to bring in their favorite book and share them. And if you didn't have a chance to view, there's a video of where the pirates actually took the books from the kids on Monday. And the kids now have to go around the building and look for various clues to find a treasure map to get their books back on Friday. So we're having a little fun with that, hopefully encouraging reading at home is the main goal of that. It will end with families being invited to do a community story walk in the village of Caledonia over the break. Michelle planned that, and we've had a lot of people have been awesome planning it as a team. We've seen the teachers. I mean, Michelle she's awesome at creating this story walk, the video, doing all sorts of focus on that. There's also the PTO is sponsoring really a change drive for the Mumford Library and the Caledonia Library, so that's in the process. So along with all the other things we've been working on, that's probably the thing we've been working on the past few weeks since the last presentation. We're right in the middle of it. It's going very well. The kids are excited for it. And we'll wrap it up by the end of this week where the kids will find their buried treasure and reclaim their books from the pirate. Michelle will be the pirate.
When is this?
It's taking place now, John.
No, when is the,
The story walk will be over our spring break,
okay.
okay? And then the kids will really do the reading over this course of this week.
And so I understand it, someone hides the kid's book out Monday?
Well, there's two pieces of it. Maybe there's one piece is the kids brought in their favorite book as the treasure.
Okay.
And they brought it in, gave it to the classroom teacher, and then we made books. We really took the books, put them in an art room, and said, okay, these pirates wanted these treasures, stole the
Right.
books.
I missed that part, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we did. And then it went on, now we're just finding clues, because the pirates are giving kids the clues to build a treasure map and find their books back. The culmination of it is the families will be able to take their own treasure walk in the community and do that same type of experience within our community.
If they go to bring their map to the Caledonia Library will have like little treasure gifts for each kid, each family that goes.
Great.
And again, you'll see the video, it's on the website, it's nearly 7 minutes long, it's quite a few people, it's very well done, and you can hear the excitement in the hallways from the kids.
And if you want to do the story walk, it'll be up and ready by Thursday this week, so Thursday all the way into the following week.
Dr. Chanel?
So I'll talk about both compact committees. The middle school compact committee, we actually in our last meeting had a chance to begin looking through the code of conduct. As you know, we take a look at the codes each year to make sure that we're getting parent and student input on how the code of conduct reads and any revisions that we need to go through. So the middle school compact committee has already done work around dress code policy, just reviewing those pieces. We also talked about Camp Raider. Camp Raider is, this will be our second year of celebrating school-wide. We do a picnic on the day. It will be the 26th of May. I believe I just did it off the top of my head. 26th of May. We will celebrate with the kids, basically getting them ready for final exams, like one last final push, and let's get the energy for that. So Camp Raider is going to be a day that will run 6 through 12, and you'll see if you're following us on social media that we're putting out videos as well, making sure we're getting the hype for the kids. There's a student leadership team both at the middle school and the high school that's helping with that planning. So when I'm pushing into compact committees and having those conversations, it's more or less updating parents on all the work that the student leadership teams are doing. The leadership team at the high school is actually a group of kids that did not have to be elected officials. They're just kids that were interested in kind of leading the charge around school culture. And over the course of the last couple of months, since I took over as middle school principal as well, the high school leadership team is kind of beginning to pull the middle school leadership team in. So we're getting, I call it cross-pollination. The younger kids working with the older kids to try to make sure that we have a day that really isn't the high school kids choosing the events of the day and the middle school kids just having to participate, really making sure that regardless of their age, the kids have had an opportunity to share what they enjoy and that their voice is heard in that day. So I would say this is probably going to be the first event that I've hosted here in my time where I am going to reach out asking for parent volunteers. So both of the committees have been kind of apprised that that's something that we're getting ready to do. When you do an event like this where teachers are part of teams with kids, so they're creating their teams, they're naming their teams, they've got team colors, kind of unites them across the day, that means that your teachers are very busy. And so to add the layers of supervision to keep the games and the activities and the food and the things going well, we will be looking for parent volunteers. So that's upcoming. The other big update would be that we are, I'll say this close to having an alumni association ready to go. Unfortunately, the holdback of moving forward right now is me. They're waiting on me to do one more thing for them, and as soon as I do that, I think they will run like the wind with this concept. So we do have an alumni that's taking lead on it, and I have about 6 alumni across different generations that are willing to sit on this board, and that's what they're waiting on now, is just for me to connect them across the generations to get this work going. There's a set of bylaws that's been drafted, a lot of decisions
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Okay, the elevator repair report.
Yes, you'll see in your board packet, the elementary elevator has malfunctioned, and we've had a couple different repair people out to take a look at it, invested a few $1,000s, trying to get it right. If you recall back in February, we were finishing our board meeting, and I got a call that one of our cleaners was stuck in the elevator. As you see in my backup registry, we've had that happen a couple times. We're no longer using it for students. We are moving cargo and equipment on that, there's nobody actually riding it. And in order to get it fixed, again, having two different agencies look at it, you know, we're probably talking nearly $50,000 for complete motherboard. So if you think about a lot of the cars today, you can plug it in and it tells you what's wrong with it. They've done all that work, and because it's not a smart elevator per se, those will be changing part after part after part. So the recommendation from the different agencies is to get a new, basically, motherboard control panel. And it's critical to make sure that you can obviously move kids upstairs and downstairs, especially if they're disabled or temporarily disabled, as well as we move a lot of our cleaning supplies that way as well. So you'll see later in your packet is a resolution for the board to move forward with that repair. It will qualify for state aid. So hypothetically, if we were to spend, the resolution is written up to $75,000, but let's say it's at $50,000, we would roughly receive 84% of that money back next school year.
How much did the whole thing cost?
I would only be guessing, the elevator's probably got to be $500,000-600,000.
All right,
I'm just
I didn't think it was
guessing.
that much, that's fine.
I'm just thinking the elevator that we have over here in the elementary, in middle school, just to move freight, which is a 2x2, is $100,000.
Okay.
So I would say I'm only guessing,
That's
but
fine.
it's quite high. That's it for the elevator.
Okay, thank you. Old business, we're all set, right? All right, new business. Approval of transportation requests to out-of-district non-public schools for 2022-2023. Motion, please.
I'll make it.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Just to make sure everybody's aware, board member requested more information. It's 14.5 miles if you take Route 390, and then it is 14.7 miles if you do 33A. So it's within the 15-mile radius, which allows for us for transportation. And there's board policy that governs it. It's actually the center of the door of the residence to the center of the door of the school. So, and this is a run that we've been doing for at least 5 years as well. Just want to make sure you understand the board policy is being followed.
All right, number 2, appointment of chief election inspector. I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Appointment of chief election inspector and election officials. Motion, please.
I'll make it.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion. Robert, chime in there, please.
Well, again, these are just people that you are approving. They're been approved from Livingston County officials with respect to the elections, and they will provide us 2 or 3 people, whatever our need is on election day.
Thank you. Presentation of the proposed 2020.
You know,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Sorry. Okay, the presentation of the proposed 2022-2023 school budget. This is it, right?
this is
the
for
final.
adoption, that's correct. So there's chairs do swivel. I know you also have the presentation in front of you. So tonight is the adoption. If you recall, earlier it was going to be on either April 5th or April 19th. There's no indication that there's going to be, obviously it's beyond an on-time budget. It looks like potentially Wednesday or Thursday that the houses will get together and maybe agree to it. Right now, it appears the ballot reform laws are keeping them to an agreement. So tonight we will adopt the proposed budget. Three-part budget will also be discussed with Mr. Nardone. And that's why you can see in two different spots. And then also on the April 19th, over here with the green, that was originally going to be the 19th. And since we're adopting the budget, the numbers are not going to change. So we'll move it up to today. The 19th meeting, my recommendation is now that the board will adopt the budget this evening, would be to cancel that meeting and then move the meeting to April 25th. So April 25th is for the board to vote on the BOCES administrative budget. This budget needs to take place on the 25th in order to count. So this gives you an example. There's 22 school districts. If schools don't meet on the 25th, and there's 4 schools across the BOCES that do meet, and for whatever reasons they vote no, then it actually goes down. So the recommendation from Mr. McDonald is that we meet together on April 25th. In the past, this board has met at 6 o'clock in the morning, because it truly is less than a 5-minute meeting. But that will be discussion of the board later in the agenda to determine what time. After that, May 10th, we'll have a public hearing right here in the auditorium. We'll also have a regular meeting. So the public meeting will be at 7 o'clock. And then the budget vote will take place on May 17th over at district office from 12 to 9 o'clock. So for those that have not been following along, with respect to transparency, you go to our website under budget development. You'll get every single presentation that we've done thus far. And again, after the board were to adopt the budget, this will be on there as well so people can follow the process. So with respect to the general support budget, basically we're talking about all the Board of Education memberships and expenses for you to operate the course of the year, all district office salaries, from the superintendent to the secretaries, to the business administration, to our treasurer, accounts payable. We're dealing with all of our legal counsel, for attorneys to represent us. Our insurance is district-wide. We're talking about publications and various mailings. All the BOCES administrative expenses are in this budget as well. All of our I would say the operations, our maintenance, our building mechanics, our cleaners and so forth, to make sure our building's well cared for, is in this budget. You can see it's a modest increase of 0.72%. Instructionalists, where 72% of your money is being spent each year. It's exactly where it should be spent. It's basically, the instruction program is before our students each and every day. In this area, you have your building administrators' costs and secretaries, all the professional development that is used for our staff, and that's both as teachers and support staff. All of our teachers, our special education teachers, our occupational and physical therapists, our librarians, school counselors, nurse, psychologists, social workers, all of our athletics, our clubs and activities, our BOCES expenditures for EduTech, basically a lot of our software expenses and our licensing and some of our technology purchases are in this area. Again, modest increase of 2.3%. Transportation, it is what it is, so we're talking about the cost of bus, we're talking about supplies and equipment, obviously personnel, and this year, pretty good increase in fuel, in diesel fuel. A larger increase of 5.11%. Community service is our continuing ed program, roughly a little over $300 increase to make sure providing services that are being requested from our school community or offerings to enhance education for our current students, such like the 5-hour class, things of that nature. The largest increases in our budget is through the employee benefits, specifically our healthcare expenses have gone up 22%. Our retirement expenses, both for TRS and ERS, so basically all of our school employees, has also increased. And then along those lines, your payroll expenses have increased. This is the largest increase that we've experienced in quite some time. We've had double-digit increases in healthcare, 10, 11, 12%, but never at 22%. So debt service, you see a decrease here, and basically why you see the decrease is that we had debt come off our books. So in other words, we paid for our mortgage of a recent capital project that we financed for 15 years, and we will no longer receive, we don't have the debt, nor do we have the aid coming in. You'll see in this number too is also paid the debt for our school buses in that number there. So again, from start to finish, as we put our budget together, we've had a reduction of about $100,000. We are the positions and or equipment. So when it says reduce elementary furniture, instead of buying 3 grade levels, we'll probably be at 1, or potentially 1.5, maybe 2, but definitely a reduction. One of the propositions is to purchase a school bus. Roughly $136,500 is the rate currently, up to, I should say. It will replace bus number 84, which is a 2006 machine with 132,000 miles on it. Next is to create a capital reserve proposition. So in this, upon board approval, we will create $10 million reserve. We will be transferring up to $1.1 million that's currently in reserve into that $10 million. And the goal here is to offset the tax levy increase when capital projects would have to be done. This requires voter approval. So it's not something that the board can just arbitrarily approve it to a resolution. It requires voter approval to create and to expend from it. This year's capital outlay project of $100,000, which is in the budget, is to replace fixtures in our middle school and high school, moving from T10s, 12s, 8s to LED efficient lighting, both interior and exterior. To be frank with you, we've identified probably $100,000 worth of work, and we will be looking at the gymnasiums, as well as exterior lighting around the building as well, the vestibule areas, and some lighting inside the vestibule, outside and inside the vestibules. And again, this project, you spend the money in the 22-23 school year, in the 23rd-24th school year, we get 84 cents back on the dollar that we spend. So when you look at the overall expenditure plan, it's a roughly $430,000 increase from the previous year, a 2.26% budget-to-budget increase. So all the areas that I just spoke, you see it all here on one slide. So you may ask, how are we going to pay for this $19.5 million budget? So we look at the revenues. So the top, property taxes and other taxes, is our tax levy of 1.99%. There's also in there Monroe County sales tax and pilots. So places of business, they're not paying their full assessment, they're paying a portion of it. It's called a pilot. That's where you see the number of $7.8 million. So we plan to collect an additional $163,000. So I know a lot of people have been reassessed, and they're thinking, oh my God, how is this going to impact my taxes? So in reality, that doesn't impact school districts much at all, because the $1,000 tax on true, the likelihood, as I talked to a lot of people, anywhere from 30,000, I've heard up to as high as 165,000, and I haven't talked to many farmers that have a lot of land. That could certainly be higher than that their assessments have increased. What's going to happen is your tax per thousand is going to drop substantially. All right. So we will only collect $163,000, regardless of the assessed value. It's going to be $163,000 upon an approval of the community of this budget. So state aid, we have a modest increase overall of $16,765. So why you see just a modest increase is, again, because we paid off our school building, one of our buildings, one of our projects, we're receiving less money in aid. So in reality, we received roughly $208,000 of foundation aid. That is new money to run your buildings. So we take $208,000 of foundation aid and roughly $140,000 of 1.99 tax levy is really our new money to run our district. And you'll see here at the end, we will be looking to increase our reserves of $250,000 to balance the budget. So the tax cap, I'm saying, Jeremy, speak to you about this because we do have to revise the tax cap. So originally, when we approved in February 1st, we didn't have these emergency capital projects. We didn't have the classroom, nor did we have or actually it wasn't finalized in the classroom renovations for the coils that burst and replacing the floor or this elevator. So Jeremy's going to talk to you briefly about why the changes.
You said it absolutely perfect. So our tax cap was at 2.14%. That was our max tax cap. If we went over that, we would have needed 60% authorization from the voters. The only number that changed, down at the bottom, 3 from the bottom is or 4 from the bottom. I'm sorry, it's coming year exclusions. Capital exclusions is what it's called, and it compares your building aid to your debt. So because we're doing these emergency capital projects, there's going to be aid associated with that. Because the aid increased, our tax cap actually goes down. Because the state is saying you're getting more money from us in aid, so you need less money from the taxpayers. So our tax cap dropped from 2.14 to 2.07. We're still under at the 1.99%. And this is just a reporting issue that I got to do with the state. So we submit our tax cap by March 1st. I will go in and revise it. I think I have until the middle of May to do that. I'm going to do it tomorrow, and I'm going to revise it to 2.07. Just wanted everybody to know that changed it.
So what do we expect, knowing our budget, what we're going to collect? We're probably, for a $100,000 assessed home that has starred, we're looking at about $12 or $1 per month. $150,000 assessed value of $22 or $1.83 per month. And usually these are really pretty good numbers. Now with the assessment, I'm not sure who's going to make out if you need a $60,000 increase in order to break even. I don't know that yet, but I know as a community we're going to ask the community to pay about $140,000 more than they did the previous year. So voting trends and budgets over the last 10 years.
Can you go back there for a second, please?
Sure.
Maybe not a fair question, but you're talking about the farmers. Let's say that there's a farm that was $1,150,000. Just adding a zero. Go down to the next line with the $22. Would that just be at the same zero, $220?
In essence, so a lot of times in the farming, you had your original homestead, they received a 30% on the original homestead, but not the rest of the farm. So there's a combination of those numbers, but you're not too far off.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And again, I know the land is reassessed too, so it's going to be a big hit in terms of assessed value. So there's your voting trends over the last 10 years. You can see budgets have been roughly 1.83. This year, actually representing a little 2.2 and change. Overall tax levy has been about 1.9 and 1.49. Average over the last 10 years has been 2.01. Community's been nearly 75% of the people that show up approve the budgets that we put before them. And you can see the yes numbers. And obviously 2021 was the largest, and that's when the ballots were mailed home because of the pandemic. So again, what happens if the budget goes down? You as a board can submit for an additional vote, if you so desire. You can do the same or revise budget. If it's defeated the second time, there's no other option. You have to go back to what was referred to as a contingency budget. So basically, that's no increase to the tax line. So in our case, there'd be a minimum of $140,000 of cuts. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, there's
Administrative costs.
Component, but you'll see when I do the 3-part, it will really be effective.
Again, so the tax levy can be no greater than it was the previous year. And then exclusions are permitted under contingency budget. Same thing dealing with health and safety will be excluded to make sure that we can provide that for our children and staff. Questions? Thank you.
The secret resolution. Robert, a little bit of a.
Yeah, so the first one is for the capital outlay project. So the one that we just talked about, interior and exterior lighting, we have to do a secret resolution in order to move forward with the project. We have to submit our plans and so forth. If this is not done, you cannot move forward. It's a procedural thing to state.
Very good. Motion, please.
I will make it.
Second.
I can second.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Motion to cancel the April 19th board meeting. Motion, please.
I can make it.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Now this BOCES thing on Board of Education special meeting on April 25th, 2022 to adopt the BOCES administrative budget. We have to have a time where 4 of us can get here, right?
Yeah, first you have to agree that you want to host the meeting, you can say no. All right, but BOCES risk their budget going down. And then to the time that you want to do it.
Just, I think Bob explained this pretty thoroughly. It's just, all 22 schools have to do it on that day, right?
That's correct.
And it's just a matter to have an official Keller and Mumford vote, need a quorum of 4 people. We've done it honestly before. At 6 o'clock in the morning, people have stopped on their way to work just so we can do it with the other 21 schools. That's the only thing that takes place, a motion, a vote, and then probably send something to wherever. So, what day of the week is that, Bob?
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday. All right.
So I can do either 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., but I guess it's my opinion that we do it at 6 p.m. so that people do want to attend, they can. 6 a.m. is a hard time for folks to attend if they want to be there.
I can second.
6 p.m.
Okay.
Do we have at least 4?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And would the board agree to just do it in the traditional boardrooms, because this takes a lot longer setup than 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll be advertised as a,
Yep, as a, it'll be in the board minutes as it's running. Small.
Thank
Yep.
all right, that was simple. We already did the elevator, right?
No, we talked about the elevators, so the secret,
Okay. We need to authorize emergency approval of the elevator project. Motion, please.
I will make it.
Second.
I can second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All righty.
3-part budget.
I'm sorry, did we vote on this new meeting? We need to vote on the new meeting.
Yes, we have.
Oh, I thought that was for the elevator. Okay. we
Let's
can-
do, let's do
No,
a
we'll do-
resolution.
we'll do it again.
Signature.
I know we brought it up when we talked about it.
That's fine. I'm sure I went right over it. All right, the special meeting is going to take place on April 22nd at 6 p.m. Motion, please.
April 25th. Yep.
Why am I crossed out? Sorry.
Monday the 25th.
I'm
6
sorry,
to
it's
6
not
p.m.
always like this. Motion, please.
I'll make it.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, sorry about that.
There's the three-part.
Did we vote on the adoption of the proposed budget? Sue, we didn't?
No?
Good.
Four adoption?
Why don't we go back to 4 and have the, number 4, the adoption of the proposed 2022-2023 annual school budget that Robert just went through. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Hold there for 1 second, please. Resolved to adopt the proposed budget of expenditures for the fiscal year 2022-2023 in the amount of $19,449,205 and for the purposes shown in the statement of estimated expenditures adopted by the Board of Education be one and the same, is approved, and the amount thereof shall be raised by levy of a tax upon the taxable property of the school district. Motion, please.
I'll make it.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, the three-part budget summary.
So, all right, so the state requires that all school districts put their budget in the form of a three-part budget. It's literally just one page, everybody can see it. There are three different parts: are administrative, capital, and program. Administrative is all administrative costs, administrative secretaries, benefits for those secretaries, insurances. Program is your teachers, all the benefits related to them, pretty much everything that's in that 2000 function code that Mr. Molisani talked about earlier. And then the capital component is all your transfers. So I do want to point your attention, interfund transfers. I always thought that word was weird before I got into the financial field. So the 1.3 million, that's our transfer to debt service to cover the debt for our buses and our buildings. In addition, it also covers the $100,000 capital outlay project. And finally, we do have kids that go to Rochester School for the Deaf, and we have to cover a local portion of that, and that's called the transfer to the specialty fund. So other than that, the capital component involves your buildings and grounds employees. And as you can see, our program budget actually went up, which is great, because again, we're all about instruction. Went from 69.8% to 72.34%. Administrative actually went down from 11.45 to 11.35%. And then the capital component went up, or I'm sorry, went down again from 18.75% to 16.3%. Any questions on the three-part? Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
So do we need to vote on that?
We do not.
It's just a presentation.
So Michelle doesn't have this on the screen. Are we going to be able to add it to the links for the community to view?
It's right, it'll be in the packet, yeah? Okay. I believe so. And that, actually, that document there is pretty much in the budget newsletter. You'll see that almost the exact way it is there in the budget newsletter as well.
All right, a motion, please, for executive session to discuss personnel mainly, it appears to be here. Yes, personnel. Motion, please.
Just, there's 1 second.
Sorry.
The student discipline.
Yes. This one for sure.
It's not on the sheet. Sorry. Executive session, it is anticipated that the Board of Education will enter into executive session. Resolved that the Board of Education adjourn to executive session at 6:52 to discuss the employment and employee history of particular persons and confidential student records protected by FERPA. Motion, please. Second. Discussion. favor? Thank you very much.
We're going to be in the fiscal conference room.